Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another Propagandacast with me, ImperialDane, and today I have for you a 1 vs 1 on Industrial Riverbed. Yes, indeed, it's been quite some time since we've had this map. In fact, I do believe it's been out of rotation for quite some time, but it has returned recently by the grace of the community managers. So jolly good, of course, for those that don't know this map, which of course recently appeared, we'll just have a brief look through at it. As some of you might already have divined, it involves a river, which divides the map into two segments. There is a small island right here in the middle, everything connected by two bridges. There are some crossing points, but that does involve negative cover, which means slower movement, and you're a big fat target. There are some other crossing points here, but also again, negative cover, generally not the best things to be caught out in the opening. We also got some crashed allied airplanes, and I do believe the location is somewhere in Holland, since we do have these big windmills and of course all these large dikes. So that's probably Holland, which of course means we'll be seeing the British, yes indeed, 30th Corps, Irish Armoured Guards, ready to show the Hanwhat 4 under the command of Zeroshift Reloaded, who I believe was only at level 10, but again, he could have been some sort of chap who was smurfing about, and in particular I do feel he gave himself a good account for in this match. Who shall be opposing him? It shall be, of course, as some of you might already guess from the way I've talked about him, me, ImperialDane of Kampfgruppe Dane here in Holland, ready to show those British who rules Holland. And that shall be the Germans. Operation Market Garden shall be a failure, and I shall make sure to do it, because I have answered the call of the fatherland, and of course it shall be an interesting match, otherwise I hopefully wouldn't be showing you this. So of course somewhere in Holland, we do have something right here. What is this? A post office? Postkantoor? I'm not entirely skilled in Dutch really, so my apologies there. But of course we do have more than just these three crossing points. We also have these high fuel points in either corner, also protected by strategic points. We have some other bits here and there, and of course we also have another strategic point right here at the bases as well, making it awfully easy to cut off one player from this fuel point if you know what you're doing. There are also some munitions point of a higher sort, and of course we have this one right in the middle. Anyhow, so let's stop mucking about and get right to it, and of course before I move on, I of course have to remember to turn down the volume, otherwise you won't be able to hear my voice. So there we go. The Reich headquarters is ready, and we are seeing the Wehrmacht quarters going down, pioneers getting ready from the Reich headquarters. We are seeing a reconnaissance section moving out. Jolly good show there. Headquarters command truck clearly underway with something. What though, I cannot say at the moment. Most likely though it's going to be a lieutenant. That's usually what you see. Less often seen is the infantry section, and even less seen you actually see a Bren carrier this early on. But of course, let's not be that quick to judge anything out. Going straight for this fuel point, generally always having fuel as the Wehrmacht is nice. It can mean, of course, taking up, but of course also veterancy. And veterancy is awfully nice, and can really make a difference in the long run. And there we go. Lieutenant Bakersfield in this sort I suppose we'll just call him Lieutenant Bakersfield. Probably might be operation name, might be not, but that's how I rule it for now. Bakersfield. He could be an immigrant, you know. Anyhow, we are seeing this fuel point being secured by the faithful pioneers of Kampfgruppe Dane, and Volksgarnis, in this case representing some sort of Ersatztruppen. Could have been anything, could be Luftwaffe troops, could be replacement troops from the many training divisions that were in Market Arnhem, in fact, in generally Holland, which was a big mess of retreating units, replacement and training units, and all other sorts of things, and generally security units. Really, it was amazing how the Germans actually managed to make something sensible out of it. Oh, let's not forget Reichsarbeitsdienst and other sorts of not really meant as fighting troops. And we are seeing an infantry reconnaissance section going straight through here, coming under fire from the Volksgarnis, who are at the same time crossing the bridge. Volksgarnis quickly sending in the hunt for the reconnaissance section, and meanwhile the lieutenant is securing a path here. Folks, yes indeed, thank God. No, you can just thank me, ImperialDane. No pyre spam, yes indeed, I'm not the pyre spam type fellow. I rather prefer something a bit more sensible, something involving rifles and Volksgrenadiers. There we go. Taking up positions here. And a bike joining in. I always use this if I'm finding a British suspecting some sort of Bren carrier. Then it's always good to have the bike or a Schwimmwagen, but I like the bike. A good Sunder bike. And these British troops are coming under fire, and no power spamming here from me. Pioneers coming under better fire. Volksgrenadiers moving in closer, hoping to take advantage of this. And the recon section, it's wooden crate or cart, not really much of help more anymore. And what is this? A really clever maneuver while the infantry section is sort of occupied. My Volksgrenadiers lay down some sandbags, thus giving them heavy cover right out in the middle of nowhere, which of course is a jolly nice maneuver. It can really make things easier to defend and give your Volksgrenadiers quite decisive advantage. Bike and Volksgrenadiers continue the hunt for the red infantry section. Yes, indeed, red color. Sort of a terrible pun. Pioneers being forced back by an infantry section here from this newly set up headquarters command truck right there at the munitions point, which of course means lots of munitions. Of course, I also know that he's been doing this. Of course, why he didn't go for this fuel point though is a rather interesting question, but for which I have no answer. But still, a lot of munitions in the hands of a British commander is of course a nasty thing. Could mean Bren guns, could mean rifle grenades, could mean Bren guns. A lot of British commanders love Bren guns. They're absolutely devastating. And there we go, setting up a slit trench right there. Since there's not a lot of things to actually take cover behind, it's of course a nice move there as well. And of course I'll need some flamethrowers to get them out there, but Volksgrenadiers are moving in from the west. And these rifle chaps are coming on an awful lot of fire right in the open. And there we go, negative cover, making it rather hard for my bike to actually get about. And no, one final shot into the fuel tank sends it spiraling out of control, crashing right in front of the eyes of these poor Volksgrenadiers. Not really what you want to see when you're just joining the battlefield. And looks like everyone is rushing towards the cover, but looks like these Volksgrenadiers might end up on the wrong side, getting gunned down by the lieutenant and the infantry section. But the infantry section is taking some losses as well, but Volksgrenadiers are retreating. Second Volksgrenadier team moving in for the fatherland. Skirmish phase being reached. A lot of manpower. I might consider getting something from the Wehrmacht quarters. More infantry section troops moving in towards the center. I'm rather going to have to retreat right here rather swiftly before my troops are getting cut down in negative cover again. Avoid negative cover unless you're facing flamethrowers. Otherwise, you're going to end up with a lot of dead men. So that was not the best engagement for me. Skirmish phase still being reached. Volksgrenadiers getting reinforced. Pioneers sneaking about, trying to get away from all these rather angry looking British chaps from the Irish Guards. Could be they're even Irish. And reinforcing these Volksgrenadiers, and we are realizing right now that I don't actually have a lot of fuel because I forgot about this fuel point. Silly Dane. That was pretty stupid. And what is this? What is this? He's ignoring. No, he's putting down a slit trench, of course, because again, it's going to be a bloody hard work for me unless I have flamethrowers, in which case it's going to be easy. Grenades can be used, but trouble is, they'll just dodge them and then get back into the trench. Flames is the key, or a Nebelwerfer, which of course uses incendiary rockets. Slit trench number 2 here, getting protected by a Vickers machine gun emplacement right here on the bridge. If the bridge collapses, so does the Vickers. That's a fort, but anyhow, taking up positions right here, that's going to make things a bit difficult for me. And now he's of course cutting me off from this fuel point just as I'm trying to secure it. Of course, denying me fuel wise, he does have that nice big fuel point as well. And now moving in as a field support truck. That's generally what you call bad. Pioneers moving in here once more, hoping to do a bit of harassment. Sneaky Pioneers. Second Pioneer team getting the devil out of there. Heavy machine gun on the move. Machine gun is 45. Volksgrenadiers heading towards the center, hoping to do a bit of a surprise, a raid, but no. A Vickers machine gun emplacement discourages them from doing that, forcing them into a swift retreat while the MG42 sets up position right here in this nice rural post office sort of thing. And Pioneers securing this cut-off point, but being forced back by these awfully wounded infantry section troops. Small delay there, and of course it's going to deny him a bit of fuel, but then you still have this rather nasty cut-off right there with the slit trench, and we're probably going to see a lot more slit trenches from him. And you have to be careful about those again. Get flamethrowers in, otherwise try not to move in. You won't be able to actually harm them, as a slit trench is probably one of the best things to protect your troops. So be careful of that. In the meanwhile, we are seeing an infantry section moving about here in the west. MG42 section might be spotting that and turn its gaze towards the reconnaissance section. Pioneers moving in with flamethrowers to sort of remind those chaps in the slit trench that they are not supposed to be there. In the meanwhile, he's currently holding most of the victory points and is making his way towards the third, which is rather bad for me. In the meanwhile, we are seeing this lieutenant going for the fuel point, but Volksgrenadiers are also moving in, hoping to perhaps cut off the lieutenant and put a jackboot up his ass. And we are seeing rifle grenades firing out from the trench, making things only more dangerous. But at the same time, it does give my pioneers a slight advantage. Why that? Because they don't have to be worrying about being gunned down by Bren gunners. Yes, indeed. And there we go, scorching everyone. And of course, troops in a slit trench are extremely vulnerable to flames. And reconnaissance section moving in, but getting hit by MG fire and fire everywhere. And looks like the Volksgrenadier is moving in to dissuade the lieutenant, but he does manage to secure, or at least render the point neutral. Not good for me. At the same time, though, I have managed to render this slit trench no more, and I am opening up this area, which is jolly good for me, giving me a small advantage. At the same time, going for a pack, since I do should be aware that he does have a field support truck, and that's probably going to mean a Stuart light tank. And if I don't have any anti-tank assets, I'm going to be caught with my pants down in a most horrific manner. In the meanwhile, we are of course seeing some rather intensive efforts at securing as most territory as possible in the south. In the meanwhile, we are seeing sappers with PS beginning to lay down an awful lot of barbed wire here to ensure this is an impassable territory. So jolly good show there. And meanwhile, though, we are seeing a pioneer team moving in with a flamethrower. Not entirely sure what's going on, but then again, they can't probably clear any barbed wire. And of course, with the flamethrowers, those sappers with PS might not stand much of a chance there, laying down a massive bundle of barbed wire. As again, that's sort of the trouble with sort of these edges of the map. You can have a bit of difficulty, but then you need to sort of lay it alongside the edges of the map. Then you can actually sort of close it up there. But it can be a bit problematic, so keep that in mind. Otherwise, you might find your opponent just sneaking past the barbed wire, scorching the sappers getting sapped off their life, and getting caught on fire. In the meanwhile, Volksgrenadiers are pushing alongside with pioneers here in the east heavily. Meanwhile, the British are moving towards the center with a captain in tow, apparently. And the pioneers force back the sappers. Jolly good show, but a large British reactionary force is moving in. In the meanwhile, we are seeing the captain taking up position in the slit trench, while British troops are looking to move across the bridge, it seems, unaware, of course, of the MG42 in the post office. Ready for a lead delivery, and grenadiers hitting the field as well. And reconnaissance section apparently now spotting the mine. That's a bit unfortunate for me, as he might set it off. There we go. But coming under a lot of fire from grenadiers, and the MG42 getting suppressed, and of course quickly retreating. Volksgrenadiers though taking a few losses, and at the same time we are seeing a large force moving in from the south, rifle grenades and Bren guns. That's... oh dear. How shall I face this off? At the same time though, British troops come in, and of course blitzkrieg and assault grenades. Hooray for assault grenades. There we go, catching some of those British chaps right out in the open, stunning them, damaging them, doing terrible things to them. And now the rifle grenades are flying everywhere, but my troops and the British troops are taking heavy losses, getting stunned, getting cut down. And oh dear, the grenadier team itself was cut down by the Bren gun team. Again, Bren guns are dangerous, do not be mistaken about that. They are incredibly dangerous up close, unlike the LMG-42, which is rubbish. And yes, I will continue saying terrible things about the LMG-42 until it is fixed. Well, not every day, but regularly. But that was a rather unfortunate engagement there. Heavy losses for me. At the same time, though, I am still able to push on through here. Not going to be passive while anything is going on. That's generally a bad thing. At the same time, we are seeing a slit trench being laid down here. Again, hoping to deny me of my points. Sneaky little git. But he is, of course, unawares of the pack. Pack 38 opening up on the slit trench. And the slit trench is most vulnerable when, of course, it's being constructed, in which case you can actually knock it out. And there we go. Slit trench cleared out. Infantry section moving in a bit more towards closer territory. At the same time, more grenadiers are hitting the field. Volksgrenadiers, pioneers, and well, Volksgrenadiers charging in, hoping to stop this. Grenades flying at these chaps. And there we go. One down, and the slit trench is not finished. Hooray for me. And this lieutenant is facing a rather angry bunch of Volksgrenadiers, but at the same time, strategic cutoff point cut off once more. Really sneaky, and of course this slit trench maneuver is of course something I'm seeing a bit more of late, so of course be wary of that, and of course be ready to have the proper resources to handle with it, otherwise you'll be suffering heavy casualties as in one unfortunate game. So keep that in mind. At the same time, moving through here, of course, hoping he hasn't wired this off. At the same time, looks like the British are preparing for an assault in the south. Really shifting his momentum, his assaults, not attacking from the same direction all the time. Jolly good move there, rather clever in fact. Rifle grenadiers and some sappers with Piats, my goodness, and in fact it's time to shift the perspective to Zeroshift. No doctrine for him. An armoured command truck up though, and a Cromwell tank on the way, my goodness, really going for the armour early on. And there we go again, slit trenches everywhere. He really loved those slit trenches, in particular since they're free. And of course give him a massive defensive advantage, but they're coming under fire from the MG42. Pioneer with flamethrower makes it out of their grenadiers, and Volksgrenadiers quickly to react, while Volksgrenadiers in the north do a bit of sneaky business. Getting stopped though by a infantry section with Bren guns. Assault grenades flying. And heroic charge, although that is not heroic enough to actually avoid the assault grenades. And meanwhile in the south we are seeing another engagement, grenadiers and Volksgrenadiers out in the open, and another assault. Assault grenades flying in all directions, my goodness, at the Piats. Equipped sappers forcing a retreat there. In the meanwhile though in the north, while the Volksgrenadiers force away the Brent gunners, they cannot force away the dreaded Cromwell. At the same time we are seeing a Sturmarmory coming up, so I might be able to press in a Sturmgeschütz to put a stop to this. Of course, question is, will it be fast enough? At the same time, we are also seeing a casualty clearing station. My goodness, he's really doing everything cleverly, isn't he? Which is again is one of why I'm suspecting he might actually be a bit more skilled than his level 10 was representative of here. So casualty clearing station, able to pick up any wounded from here and here most likely, and of course with a bit of munitions he can also heal his own troops. Jolly good show there. 2 lieutenants increases the amount of attacks. Of course he can as going. Of course it might also just risk him to just blob up and be clever about that. At the same time I'm moving my pack more forwards, ready to provide covering fire from any sneaky Cromwell tanks. And there we go again, negative cover, making sure your units are absolutely bloody slow. Also tanks. And taking up a nice central position there. Moving about, ensuring that some troops are down here in the south to protect this area. At the same time we are seeing a reconnaissance section moving in, hoping to do a bit of sneaky harassment there on my victory point down there. And I really need to ensure that I have some victory points or things might look bad. Grenades flying at these chaps, doing a bit of damage. At the same time the Cromwell is moving in, forcing my pack to move in. At the same time Stug 4 is on the field. Call in from some elements somewhere though, I can't say which, where it could have been gotten from, as of course the nature of Holland made it a bit more haphazard and ad hoc. But there we go, Stug 4 moving in, ready to open up on that Cromwell and do some nice damage to it. Pioneers caught behind enemy lines, might be gunned down. Stug moving in, guns not quite blazing. There we go though, firing up, not hitting anything but still ensuring that the British know that the Hun means business. We are seeing a large force here once more going for this fuel point. Cromwell though is left suspiciously behind without support. Pack moving in, Stug moving in. Of course the sloped 88mm armor of course provides a slight advantage to the Cromwell, which of course also doesn't have quite a high velocity gun as the Stug 4. At the same time looks like the British are moving in from the south, hoping to flank around the Stug, which is actually a pretty good maneuver since Piats have a bit of trouble. But of course clamping up his troops. Once more a job for assault grenades. At the same time stormtroopers from the 9th SS Panzer Division, Hohenstaufen, are moving in. Or was it Frundsberg? Oh dear, I keep messing those two about. But nonetheless, Sturmtruppen ready to provide some accurate gunfire and of course some other sneaky bits. Assault rifles are also welcome. And we are seeing a decoy artillery barrage being called in somewhere, though not sure where. Pack taking a bit of fire from the Cromwell. Cromwell though awfully damaged, hoping to do a bit of flanking speed, but will find itself trapped by the Stug. Shot to the rear, and of course if the pack gets off a shot as well, that could be the end. Artillery moving in on the pack. Oh dear, oh dear. Will the pack make it out of there? No. The 25-pounder artillery barrage is made its way in, of course, to those who are a bit sharp. What this of course mean commandos. Yes indeed, the commando doctrine has been chosen, which of course means I have to watch the skies and my rear support units, otherwise there might certainly be standing a few chaps with silenced den guns ready to do some nasty business. Stu 42 hitting the field as well, as I'm rather suspecting I'm seeing rather large clumps of British infantry. What does well against that? Stu 42. Emplacements? Stu 42. Obstacles? Stu 42. Yes indeed, the Stu 42 Sturmhaubitze 42. The answer to a few of life's problems. At the same time, we are seeing a detector for radio triangulation going down here. Of course, with all three, he will be able to see what's going on within that triangle. At the same time, Stu 42 advancing through here, catching some British out in the open, and we are seeing a Cromwell command tank up as well. British coming under fire from the Stu 42, though, which is seeing the Pierre troops and a trench, hoping to catch them outside of the trench, because if they get in there, he's not going to be able to dig them out. But there we go, taking a bit of fire. At the same time, we are seeing British maneuvers through here. Bren gunners, but assault grenades being thrown at them. Stu 42 continuing, blowing apart a small Dutch car, forcing away the sappers. At the same time, these Bren gunners are getting awfully beaten up. And my goodness, this not casualty killing station, oh dear. But I mean, Vickers machine gun emplacement could get knocked out by the Stu 42. At the same time, infantry section getting torn up and dropping behind a Bren light machine gun. My goodness, an actual light machine gun I can use. I'll take it, good sir. And we are seeing another radio triangulation bit, and there we go. He can actually see everything that's going on in between there. I hadn't actually noticed that. I knew that was something was going on, but not quite where. And this Cromwell command tank is in fact taking a bit of fire. We'll probably have to get out there before it's completely knocked out. Stu 42 advancing, hoping to knock out that biggest machine gun emplacement, and right there, that did cause the British commander a bit of harm. Heavy infantry losses, a Cromwell loss as well. Of course, I'm quite happy with the situation, and of course that gives me a bit of a breather to organize my defenses and troops. No Kampfgruppe center as of yet, and no medic station, which of course is always good for me. Could really be of help. Either case in particular might make those Bren gunner Volksgrenadiers a bit more useful in the longer run. But I'm sure they're happy to have a light machine gun to boost their firepower. At the same time, though, we are seeing a Sherman Firefly. The Sherman Firefly, equipped with the venerable 17-pounder gun. Quite a threat to German armor, and I do believe I've spotted it. And of course, I'm quick to pull out of there, since I have absolutely nothing that can actually face the 17-pounder from the front. Stuks will in fact be quickly knocked out by that, since they actually have rather low health. The pack, if I can do it into that, will actually do a bit of nice job there, but of course he's not going to do that, and there we go. One shot and down 1/3 in health. Pack moving in, hoping to spot this Firefly, or at least force it back. At the same time, we are seeing a Volksgrenadier force moving in. Machine gun section, part of this rather large squad. In fact, it's sort of actually how they operated. One of the 10 men of that squad would have been equipped with a light machine gun, although that would have been an MG42, not a Bren gun, but I suppose we can't have everything. Not even a functional MG42. And there we go. The Cromwell command tank seems to have been spotted. Stormtroopers making an assault through the center. We're forced back. For what reasons, though, I cannot say. And looks like we are seeing a large force moving through the negative cover. Grenadiers throwing their grenades in a mad dash. Catches some of them out there. And we are seeing, of course, another large blob. And, of course, for that, there's no cure like assault grenades. Hooray for the fatherland. And it's apparently an inexhaustible supply of assault grenades. Apparently some rifle grenades are doing a bit of damage, and oh dear, Grenadiers forced into retreat. Will the last man make it? Very incredibly lucky Grenadier, as those Bren guns have a very nasty tendency of cutting down troops on the retreat. Heroic charge, tiring them out. Stu 42 moving in, and there are no Piets to actually aid them. And what is this? We are seeing some actual 25-pounder artillery going in on the building right here. Oh dear. And the MG crew did not make it out. The postal office is also lost, including all of the mail in there, including the cookies to Kleiner's brother. Anyhow, we are seeing Grenadiers getting reinforced, and a Panzer command coming up, rather realizing I'm going to need something to actually put the fight to that Sherman Firefly. And while I do love the Stuk 4, it's not going to cut it. I'm going to need a Panther. Yes, indeed. Panzer 5, Panzerkampfwagen. It will probably be supplied by the... Oh, I don't know what was the number. The 150th Panzer Brigade, I believe. And a 17-pounder gun being set up right there. More 17-pounders. Of course, it is right in range of my Pack 38, so that 17-pounder might suddenly find itself rather short-lived. and calling in decoy barrage just as my troops are already retreating. He is of course aware of my intentions due to radio decryption, although radios weren't really decrypted, and of course the Germans, for example during Normandy, rather had a tendency of listening in to the Allies, in fact, rather often, which of course is what you don't really hear about much. Anything else? Let's not talk about that. Let's talk about one more Normandy folk-centered cast instead of this on Market Garden and Arnhem. And looks like some Tommies are moving towards the center. One getting knocked out by the Stug 4 right there. Not having done much except kill a few infantry chaps. Stormtroopers assault grenading once more. Stunning and killing and cutting away some. Stu 42 joining in for a bit of fun as well. And these British chaps are getting absolutely torn apart. And I do believe it's time for the mid-game analysis. Hooray and huzzah! Of course, the situation is currently a bit of a deadlock, although the British commander does hold a bit more of the map. In particular, he holds more of the victory points. In fact, he also has a lot of victory points itself. While I have less than 200, that's really going to put some urgency into my matches. At the same time, he has a Firefly with a Cromwell command tank, which of course means the Firefly can fire longer and faster, which of course makes it even more of a nuisance. At the same time, he also has a lot of infantry. He hasn't actually lost any squads as of yet, although that might be awfully close. Plus, that casual clearing station is helping a bit. He, of course, has artillery at his beck and call. And, of course, he might be soon calling in some commandos. Plus, of course, this radio triangulation business here. But these grenadiers are ready to put a stop to that. Ready to kick their jackboots on it and knock it out. And telling those British to knock it off. At the same time, though, of course, I have managed to cause some heavy attrition losses on him. I am sort of stabilizing things, and of course I might be able to push off an assault right here in the center and secure this victory point. Why there and not there? Well, there's one tiny detail, of course, and that's sort of a defensive matter. It's going to be a lot easier for me if the sort of defensive line I have to hold is more continuous, that is here and here, rather than me having to hold these 2 points. And of course I have a very long route in having to actually, if I have to shift around forces. So it's much better to have a shorter defensive line rather than one which is going to be rather long and awkward. Oh dear, hiccup. So keep that in mind, but I do need to push onwards. I need to secure this victory point and hold it down, lock it down for the fatherland. And of course I need to perhaps try and knock out those Fireflies, otherwise I'm going to have a very, very difficult time actually doing anything. And of course a Panther will help with that, although of course the Firefly can reasonably deal with the Panther if it stays out of the range of the Panther. Of course, the Firefly does, with the Cromwell command tank, have a few advantages to do that. But let us shift over to me once more. The Kampfgruppe Dane, Panther on the way. No Kampfkraft center as of yet. Been spending a bit more resources on everything else around veterancy. And we are seeing some artillery, or decoy artillery, I cannot say, most likely decoy. He loves his decoy artillery, of course. And it's the sort of gamble where you can't, of course, risk it, because if you're sort of, oh yeah, that's not right artillery, and then, of course, you lose your men to it, then you're rather looking silly, and oh dear. And we are seeing a small engagement here. Pioneers being forced back as they were trying to lay down mines, and we are seeing some recon section making a push for the southern victory point. At the same time, the Firefly is also moving in, and in the north we are seeing the Cromwell moving in. Another Cromwell, in fact, forcing my grenadiers away. Pushes on all sides. Stug 4 moving towards the north to help with that. In the meanwhile, I'm going to need something a bit tougher, and there we go. Panzer Kampfwagen 5, Panther Panzer, called in from the Panzer Brigade. Going to show those British who makes the proper armor, the real Panzers. Stu 42 moving in to support in clearing out that infantry. Not having much luck with that, and of course I have to be careful with that Firefly nearby. And of course there's sort of a congestion problem right here. At the same time in the north we are seeing the Cromwell and Stug 4 duking in out. Assault grenades being dropped on these chaps. Bren Fultz grenadiers forced away. Bren gunners though getting stunned and damaged. Stug 4 doing his best against the Cromwell. Stu 42 is lost most tragically to the Firefly due again to sort of problems in maneuvering about. Panther though moving in. Cromwell forced back by the Stu 4 not being able to penetrate the frontal armor, or at least they're not having much luck. Stormtroopers though forced back as well. Panther moving in. Shall it open up? Yes, there we go. High velocity gun opening up on the Firefly, doing quite a bit of damage. Pioneers might want to actually begin repairing the Panther. There we go. Which will certainly giving a small advantage right here in this fight, since the Panther will be repaired. The Firefly will not moving in there. Firefly moving out as the Panther moves further in to the den of the Firefly. Well, that didn't really sound much dangerous, did it? Firefly, though, main gun destroyed. This could be it. The Panther might get a kill, and the Stuke 4 is lost. 2 artillery after knocking out the Cromwell. A rather unfortunate loss. 2 assault guns lost. But a Firefly is knocked out, and fortunately I still have my Panther, which is rather what matters. At the same time, I will soon be able to get a Tiger. Yes, indeed, the Panzerkampfwagen 6. And there we go. And in fact, it's Hauptmann Voss apparently joining in his Tiger. 205. Jolly good show there. At the same time, the Panther is pulling out for repairs. Doesn't want to be too close to the front line. And Cromwell command tank is hiding right here in this huge empty lot. Artillery being called in somewhere. Kampfgruppe center going up. Stormtroopers charging in and getting gunned down rather unfortunately. Not entirely sure what happened there. A misclick most likely. But now the Tiger shall have its day. Opening up on this lieutenant. Trying to set up a radio triangulation bit. And in fact it manages rather swiftly. Really quickly they can decide actually. Tiger moves in and opens up. At the same time we are seeing another Firefly hitting the field, while the Panther is back for repairs. And of course he still has an idea of where my units are. Of course you can't see what they are, but he does know that there's something there. At the same time the British are once more securing the center, loading up on troops and everything. And again I really need to make some sort of breakthrough somewhere. And we are seeing another assault through the center. Grenadiers and false grenadiers holding the center, my goodness. And a grenade, no. 2 grenadiers are cut down in seconds. Grenade flying at these British chaps. 1 grenade, a few killed, and the rest are forced into retreat as the Panther fires off in support as well. Tiger ready. And the Kampfgruppe center is ready as well. What shall be receiving the first bit of infantry? I can't say right away. Cromwell getting scavenged for munitions. Tiger might want to turn around, please. There we go, slowly turning around, although the Tiger actually could turn around pretty swiftly. At the same time we are seeing Stormtroopers with assault rifles. Sappers firing away, but getting forced up away by Pioneers, of course, opening up the path for the Tiger. And we are seeing Veteranry 1, of course, also coming up for the Panzers. And of course Veteranry 1 for any armor is, of course, bloody brilliant. Pioneers taking a few losses, but still the central area is secured for now. The Tiger moves in. Stormtroopers move in, ready to sort of scout for the path. And of course, getting right Tiger, slightly increased chance at hitting this Firefly. First shot penetrated, but of course, due to the Veterans 1, it won't do so much damage. And British troops charge in from the front, buttoning up the Tiger, but Stormtroopers already nearby, ready to do the damage. Fire. Pioneers with flamethrowers as well. Grenades flying and probably doing some damage to those Brent gunners trying to knock out that Tiger. Panther moves in. Artillery being called in on all of this. We'll have to retreat my troops. Well, it's just a decoy. Apparently it's just a decoy, in fact. And Sappers catching on fire. British troops getting blown to bits. The Panther and everything else just firing away. Although the Tiger is awfully heavily damaged. Still, the center is secured for now. Firefly opening up on the Tiger. Grenadiers and Volksgrenadiers ready to rush in. Panther might want to consider moving in to support the Tiger, and Blitzkrieg has been made ready as well. And now this Firefly is coming under fire from the Panther. Will there be more veteranry on the way? Not yet. And Tiger is pulling back for some rather quick repairs, as it's rather close to being knocked out, which is not good. Panther is also in the same situation, and there we go. German troops moving in to secure this center and hold it for the fatherland. The Kampfgruppe Dane still holds, despite having suffered some losses and being pressured rather heavily. Veteranry up for infantry now. Jolly good show, gives them some slight healing. At the same time, we are seeing another British push towards the center. Rifle Grenadiers, Brent Gunners and Piats.
They're losing territory.
And charging right into all of this. Grenades being flung. Assault, in fact, right into this huge blob. And apparently artillery, or not. But heavy losses for the Volksgrenadiers and Grenadiers, but not also heavy losses for the British. Bren guns firing in response at the British troops feeling a bit of their own medicine. Sappers managing to catch up that Piat. Denying it to me. Dastardly Brits. Bunker going up will probably be a repair bunker to help repair that Tiger. Firefly continuing to fire away as it is repaired by sappers with Piats. British troops are once more pulling back towards the center. In fact, I do believe it's time to shift back to the British commander, who has now commandos and the Tetrarch ready to be summoned in, ready to support, and of course his report that a bunker is ready. But German troops are still holding the center, although the Volksgrenadiers are now being called. No, they're being sent back. At the same time, we are seeing some recon section troops doing a bit of sneakiness in the south, but might get cut down with these stormtroopers and grenadiers. Will they succeed? Yes, indeed. A full infantry team lost for the British, which of course really unpleasant since they cost 450 manpower. At the same time, we are seeing some rifle grenadiers charging in towards the center. Volksgrenadiers responding in turn, and stormtroopers moving in from the south. Sturm Grenadier, I suppose more likely SS Panzer Grenadier. And we are seeing another British assault from the south. Bren gunners and Piats at Libitum. Tiger responding to this threat. And so are these Volksgrenadiers with the Bren gun. 2 knocked out right away with the first shot from the Tiger. And assault grenades flying down below. Stunning, and the sappers are getting absolutely massacred. The Tiger and Volksgrenadier combo doing horrific damage to these British troops. And we are seeing commandos dropping right into the middle of everything. This could be damaging. Oh dear, no. Instead, it gets completely knocked out by the vigilant efforts of the stormtroopers and Volksgrenadiers. And that is, of course, a bit unfortunate. But at the same time, don't drop in your gliders in the middle of troops. They can actually be destroyed before they actually can unload their troops, so keep that in mind. Firefly sneaking about in the center, though not able to do much to the infantry. At the same time, our Panther quickly reacts to this, ready to put a stop to any British nonsense. And me just sort of trying to lighten the mood by saying I could say the same, since I'm rather under heavy pressure and down to barely 60 points. Panther taking up a guarding position in the center. Firefly moving about. Now, fucking Blitznades. Yes, indeed. Now he's just whining a bit. And as far as I'm aware, I didn't force him to play as the British. I might be wrong. And yes, he can blob, but that doesn't mean he should blob. Of course, and we are seeing some grenadiers fortifying this southern position. Barbed wire and sandbags. Going to make it a bit harder for the British to do anything there. What shall be going on here? Something going on in the Kampfgruppe center. And we are seeing some Knights Cross holders here. I generally don't use them because, well, they're not really historical. But then again, sometimes you don't really have excuses like this sort of situation. And when you're supposed to answer the Führer, well, mein Führer, but we didn't really have them in the war, then I'm pretty sure he'll not really care. In fact, he might even argue that if there were jetpack equipped troops, that I should still use them because all that matters is victory. So yes, that's why I'm using these Knights Cross soldiers this time around, because I don't really have much of a choice. Artillery going out, doing heavy damage to my troops. Oh dear, my SS Panther Grenadiers, my Stormtroopers are lost, but the Knights Cross soldiers are still alive, and so are my Volksgrenadiers with the Bren gun, but the one is going down, and the Panther is now equipped with a machine gun, and it's knocked out. My goodness, the Firefly knocks out my Panther. That was most unfortunate, but the Tiger is ready to solve the situation, ready to kill the British with its mighty 88mm gun. The Tiger, a magnificent piece of engineering, and if properly maintained, of course, that's being the sort of caveat, but it was about as reliable as the Panzer IV, which was a pretty reliable tank, actually. British troops charging towards the center, right into the line of fire of the Tiger. There we go, 3 down. Pack moving in as well, ready to support. Of course, this is sort of a dangerous situation. One bit of artillery right there, and the bridge will collapse, losing me the Tiger. And since I've already taken some damage, but no, it's a decoy artillery rush. Of course, I don't know that, but I'm still forced to do something. Grenadiers moving in from the south, ready to assault. And there we go, assault grenades. Firefly in a nasty spot. Might get knocked out by the gracious Tiger. One grenadier looks like to have been caught under the threats of the Firefly, but still, Firefly is lost. Knights Cross holders moving in, getting a few more British as they retreat, and medics continue to pull out the wounded. Fireflies lost. The Tiger reigns supreme. And I'm of course going to need some more armor. And there we go, another Panther to replace the Panther lost. At the same time, we are seeing a commander raid crashing through the sandbags and barely making it out of there this time around, and ready to take this victory point. He's really desperate now. Very low on victory points, of course. He's rather hoping he can land sort of that finishing blow and really cut me off. Well, he's told them long enough. And I'm, of course, rather intent on that not happening. So moving in Knights Crossholders, moving in the Tiger, moving in the Panther. And holding the pack right here. Alongside some Grenadiers, Pioneers and everything else. At the same time, though, these commandos are coming under fire. And they have laid down commando charges. For some reason, he's not detonating it, though. And, of course, I can see it now. So, of course, I immediately open up fire on it with my Tiger. Knights Crossholders moving in from the east, having flanked about. And looks like these commandos will not be making it out of there alive. Knights Crossholders gunning them down, and the Panther crosses this barbed wire so the Knights Crossholders can swiftly take this victory point for the fatherland. The faster the better, and we are seeing a large Volksgrenadier force right here. Surprising they have lasted this long. Apparently he's complaining, considering he's done pretty well. His only real fault being he blobbed up. And I, of course, still refuse to fall into this game, of course, just saying, yes indeed, 4-star game. Better to be a bit cheerful than grump. And there we go, he's finally realizing that when he sees that sort of thing flashing above my Volksgrenadiers, it's time to get the bloody hell out of there.
Ready to deploy.
So jolly good show there. And meanwhile, we are seeing something else coming out of the Panzer Command. Could it be more Panzers for the Kampfgruppe Dane? Most likely, and there we go. Panzer IV finally arriving, hoping to make a slow push in the north. And apparently Fraps has decided to slow down a bit, so that should hopefully fix it. No, it did not. There we go. Fraps can be a bit sort of sneaky about. Volksgrenadiers retreating. The Grenadiers were not retreated, but still decoy artillery, so I'm safe. Panzer IV moving towards the north, hoping to clear out this Vickers machine gun emplacement, and of course allow me to push through here and put more pressure on my opponent. Veterancy 2 ready for my infantry, giving some of them elite armor and just making my Volksgrenadiers slightly tougher still. No stormtroopers though, that was rather unfortunate. I really like my stormtroopers. I wish I could replace all my Grenadiers with stormtroopers and only change stormtroopers, but sadly that's not the case. Could have been fun as a sort of reward unit thing. And damn, there we go. Assault in the center. Assault once more going off. Bren gunning Volksgrenadiers, flying the grenades at the British, stunning them, and the Tiger moves in for a bit of fun as well. And oh dear, the Panzer IV gets caught on in the open by a Firefly and will have to retreat ever slowly, of course. This muck is not going to help it, and of course I'm sort of figuring if I should try to delay it, and of course move in the Tiger from the rear to sort of flank about. Panther moving in as well. So while the Panzer IV keeps the Firefly occupied, the German Panzers move in. At the same time he's moving in his field support truck. That's a bit odd. In fact, right into the line of fire of the Tiger. Not entirely sure what's going on. Panther moving in as well. And oh dear, looks like the Panzer IV will not be rescued. Oh dear. Unfortunately lost. The Panzer IV is out of control, though the Firefly is heavily damaged. Field support truck might be knocked out. There we go. But armored command truck is on the way with another Firefly. But British troops right in the center getting torn apart by armored fire. Panzers blowing away the British Irish armoured guards in chunks, but the Irish are not done yet. More Fireflies moving in, and apparently he's also laid down mines, rather interestingly. And now it's a face-off between the Panther and the Tiger and the Fireflies, and we are seeing Blitzkrieg increasing the rate of fire and speed. Also does decrease accuracy on some units. On infantry, they can also ignore suppression. They also get a slight increase in rate of fire, although I'm not entirely sure how well that does, but still, Tigers with much faster rate of fire, and Panthers, and of course increased speed. Jolly good there. Charging ahead. Tiger hits a mine. Firefly number 1 is lost. Firefly number 2 is lost. Jolly good show there. Victory for the German Panzer forces, and there we go. With the loss of those 2 Fireflies, the Irish Armoured Guards must concede the victory to the Kampfgruppe Dane, which has secured victory in a most dandy manner. So let's of course find a nice victory sort of scenery. There we go, I suppose. Victory for the fatherland, and apparently once more Fraps decides to be a bastard. Anyhow, what can we learn from this? Well, of course we saw some rather interesting things. We saw good usage of slit trenches. Of course be a bit careful if your opponent has flamethrowers, but still slit trenches can make a difference. Try to use them. Of course we also saw some rather aggressive movements of command trucks to secure points, which also gave him a lot of munitions. We saw some Bren guns, we saw some rifle grenades, good show there. A few mines, but also we saw sandbags quite well used by me, if I say so again, to sort of give the advantage in sort of shorter moments, which is good. We also saw some good commando artillery, and of course we saw a lot of decoy smoke. Use it as much as you can, because your opponent can't really afford to just ignore it. So that makes it a good thing to do. Of course, assault grenades was used plentifully here against his British blobbing, and of course blobbing is bad. Try to avoid it, and of course, if you as the German commander see it happen, assault grenades or a Stu 42 is going to help immensely against it. I was a bit slow in getting veterancy for my armor, and I probably should have gotten it faster. That would really have helped. A medic bunker as always. At the same time we saw the British with a casualty clearing station. He could perhaps have placed it a bit further forwards, but at the same time it actually managed to recuperate some losses, so that was actually pretty good. I mean, we saw some really good things, but at the same time in the end though, the British lost, well, partly due to infantry attrition and blobbing up, which of course allowed me to mount to a counter-attack in the center and secure that point, of course establish a strong point, which of course made it rather hard for him to take it back. So there you go. I hope you enjoyed this fight. If you did want to subscribe or tell your friends, and if you didn't, well, why not send in a replay of your own? This is ImperialDane saying, remember, do not bloody blob. Cheers!